welcome to Tokyo Inklings. This is episode, I believe, 44? And we are here live at the Tokyo Pen Show. So, lots of exciting stuff today. We're not going to do the usual reviews because we've just got too much stuff to show. So, let's get at it. I think we can start off first by maybe introducing what we've bought at the show. Maybe I can go first. Jacob was really bad. He went to this secondhand store called Komehyo. It's this kind of like a reseller store of secondhand goods.
Yeah.
And he was really bad. He was looking at some custom urushis and some like was it an emperor? Lots of really nice pens there. And of course, he said, "Hey, look at these. These are pretty good prices." And I found a Burgundy Douai. So got this for a pretty good price. I wasn't going to let it go, but I don't know if I can go home tonight, Jacob, because this was expensive. Other than that, for myself, I bought the Yasaka from Lichtop, and I think this is a really cool ink. It's like this greenish ink with some shading, and what I really like is they have this really nice box now. And usually I'm not a fan of boxes, but I just think that it's a really nice touch that they have these. So for myself, these are the two products that I got. Jacob, did you get anything?
Well, first of all, before I talk about what I got, I think it's important to understand that we have a press pass. So we were walking around with a badge that says press. And people with a press pass, well, I'm not sure if there are any rules, but it's probably not supposed to go and buy things, especially not as the first thing we do, right? So I didn't buy anything for the first 3 hours because I thought that was not the right thing to do. You were a bit more shameless. You were buying things as soon as you arrived. So I did buy one thing. Actually, I did buy two things. I also went to this Komehyo shop, and I got a Pilot. Which anniversary is this? Pilot 75th anniversary pen, which is kind of the predecessor to 845, I believe. And I got it for a very good price.
And you know what? Show the clip on the stream maybe. The clip is very interesting because this is the sword clip, and we'll have it in the show notes as well. But this sword clip is particularly interesting because what we saw in the later parts of the production of sword clips is that they lack that detail on the front, on the top.
Yeah.
And this anniversary is, as far as I know, the only modern Pilot that has this kind of detail on the sword clip.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, I did get one more pen. Maybe we're jumping ahead now, but Kobayashi have for a few years been selling capless decimal pens with some, I'm not sure if it's probably not real Maki-E work, but this is also, we'll take better photos later, but this is a capless decimal with some Maki-E-like flowers for a surprisingly good price.
And actually they're really good because they have these Maki-E ones every time they come over. So you won't find them on their online store, but if you see them at a show, these are the kinds of pens that you'd be able to get from there, which is a great reason why to come to the show actually, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's actually the main reason why I bought it. I was also tempted to get that Hachimunja. We'll talk more about it in a second, but that pen is probably going to be available on their online store eventually. These Kobayashi pens, I'll just put it that way, it's not something you can buy online, so that's why I got it.
Yeah, and so I think these pens that we personally got ourselves are kind of indicative of what we like as like a different taste. But at the show there's really just a lot of very interesting stuff. Before we get into the products though, I want to talk a little bit about how this show has evolved and changed from last year. Maybe I'll go first, or do you want to go first?
Yeah, you can go first. I think we probably have similar observations, but go ahead.
So I think the first thing that I noticed is that this year compared to last year, there's a lot more people.
Yes.
And I think it's almost at that 2019 level of people that I can see at least. But also, additionally, I see a lot more bigger names this year. So we have places like Tsutaya, which never came. We have Shosaikan, who never came. All these bigger names seem to be coming to the Tokyo Pen Show now. And for me, what it seems like is that this is getting to be more and more of a, let's say, what would traditionally be considered like a pen show, whereas the previous years were more inks and maybe general stationery focus. This year we see a lot of pens, and I think that's actually a great thing.
Yeah, not only do you have more of these big retailers, but you also have more retailers that are launching new products at the pen show this year, and we will talk more about the actual pens in a bit, I think, but I think that's going to be one of the trends. There weren't that many new products last year. I mean, we spent a lot of time talking about drill log, for example, and we talked about paper. There weren't that many new pens. This year, there have been a number of new sailor pens and pilot pens.
And a lot of exclusives too. I think that's really why I think people want to come to these shows, because they just got all these exclusives. And even if people don't purchase at the show, I think it's a great way to advertise their brand and their company. So I really think it's a great thing that they're doing here.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I personally didn't have a lot of expectations coming to the show because I thought, COVID and stuff like that. But actually, the show is even better than I expected. We talked a little bit about what we were looking forward to in the last proper show. But I think if I didn't come as part of the press crew, I would really want to come to this show just to at least see those new products and really kind of enjoy the atmosphere. I also got to catch up with Izumi. You might know him online as Izumi_pens, and he showed me a lot of cool stuff, including some King Cobras, which we might put on the show notes later. But all in all, I think come for the people, come for the products, and really come for the excitement of the whole thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And before coming to the show, there was this web page where you could see all the vendors and so on. And based on that, I wasn't, to be honest, super excited, because it wasn't immediately obvious to me. There's going to be a lot of new stuff. And also on this page, I think there was this one section on the page where each vendor could say what they were planning to bring to the show.
And they're so bad at that.
And there was nothing there. There was nothing there. And it wasn't until very last minute, I would say, the last 2-3 days, where many of these vendors announced on Instagram or something, Twitter, but made an Instagram that, hey, we have a new products released at Tipsy. You didn't realize that this is going to be an interesting show until just before.
Absolutely. All right, let's get right into it. Jacob, did you buy the show ink this time?
I did not buy the show ink.
I also did not buy the show ink, but I recall that it's a nice tealish color, which fits the theme, because I think this year's is Iceberg, right? Yeah,
Penguin Park Picnic Party. I don't even know what that
I think
means.
they're having a picnic at the Iceberg. So I think that was pretty fitting. But I just have too many of those inks to really buy. But this year what they did, which was very interesting, is they limited to one per person. Whereas in the previous year you could kind of buy 2 or 3 if you really tried. But this year they're really pushing that QR code, that contactless kind of payment. I don't think it's super well done in terms of their contactless, but I think it's a good trend that they're going towards these contactless payments, so you don't have to bring a wad of cash over. And everybody here accepts credit cards now, so that's I guess a difference from what we might see from a traditional show, where most, I think, older vendors would prefer like cash, right?
Yeah, which is not, I think, only, like, if you talk about the Wagner, for example, right, some of them only take cash, which I think is not just about what they're used to, but there might be tax implications as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, shall we get into the products?
Yeah, let's do that.
So I think from the Western audience, I think most people follow Bungabox, and they really teased out a few products this time. They teased out, first of all, their Supernova Realo, and we predicted that, well, it didn't predict, but we kind of hoped that they would come out with a Realo last time in our recording.
Well, we knew that there would be, we almost knew that there would be a Bungabox like tips pen, but we didn't know what it was going to look like.
And what we said was they did a mini, they did a Pro Gear. Maybe this year they're going to do a different model. So this is the Boombox Supernova, and it comes in this little box here with their logo. I've already opened it for the sake of time. And once you open up the pen, you'll see that it has this card which says Supernova. Now, I'm just going to take this out. And it looks gray, but this is actually a transparent demo Realo.
Well, I would call it a Shishikura Realo.
Yeah, it kind of is, except it's missing that metal section, isn't it? But this Realo has 6 different colors of glitter inside the Realo, which is interesting because I heard from my source that Sailor didn't really want to make translucent Realos anymore. So this pen surprised me, and it's been very, very popular. They've made 100 of these. All the zooms are sold out. And of course, you see that nice little finial over there.
And you can only, I don't know what the plan is long term if they don't sell out, but at least initially you can only buy this at Tips, and you have to go to this website where you reserve them in advance, and you can only pick them up at Tips. And
Right.
And it says explicitly that if you don't come to Tips to pick up the pen, we're going to cancel your order.
Yeah.
Your order. We are not going to ship it to you.
Yeah. But that system, I have to say, the ticketing system was kind of confusing
It was
at
very
first.
buggy.
It was very buggy. I wanted 2 zooms, but then, and they also limited it only 2 per person. So I
Yeah.
wanted 2 zooms, but I couldn't place the order unless I had an EF in my cart. So now I have a zoom and an EF.
Yeah. There's one more. Another new Bongbox product that I find interesting. I didn't bring it now. Maybe not interesting enough to bring, but to show. But Bongbox just released, I think yesterday, 3 new pigmented inks.
Yeah. What's curious about those is that they actually already have those colors before in their dye basing. So it's
Yeah.
First Love, there's Music, and then I forget what the last one was. It's a red ink.
Yeah, I think they call it like AN or Yuyake.
Yeah, Yuyake, I think. Sunset.
Yeah, so,
Um,
so all 3 are called like AN. Eternal like Sunset, Eternal like Piano Black,
Yeah.
Eternal Hatsukoi.
Right. And I found it pretty interesting. Like, I would have expected them to make new colors instead of having like their original colors in a pigmented version. So I'm wondering if this means that they're going to have pigmented versions of their older colors, and whether this is because they're trying to get in on this glass pen boom.
Yeah. And one interesting thing is they say on the product page that the ink is made by Turner. In other words, made
as
by the same
Kakimori.
company as Kakimori, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Another interesting thing is, I think we've talked about this in the past, but even though I don't always, I'm not always the biggest fan of Bongbox products, but I definitely recognize that Kaoru really knows what is
The market,
popular, right? I think it's very interesting that she decides to release pigmented inks.
Right.
That's probably a sign
Yeah.
of things to come.
Yeah, so we'll see how they compete with Kakimori. The price is much more expensive than
Much
Kakimori.
higher, yeah.
But yeah, we'll see, because they have that heel bottle ink, ink bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which apparently adds to the cost, yeah.
Shall we talk about Toyoka?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how we can show the
All right.
pen tray without...
So Toyoka came up with a product this year, actually partly because of Bungabox. Because what happens in pen stores is that people want to test the pens and they want to see the pens. And when you have it on a pen tray, it's very easy to have the nib kind of stain the pen tray itself, especially since these nice ones are made of suede leather.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've designed this kind of a pen tray, and here you have a part that comes off. But this part is a little bit higher. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little bit higher than the rest of the tray. So the idea is that
Can you show them a little bit more in this direction as well?
So the idea is that what you do is you put the uncapped pen on this wooden part, like so. I'll show this on the Twitch first, and then I'll show it on Instagram. And that way, it doesn't stain, or it's harder to stain your nice nice suede leather. So I thought that that was a very, very interesting design. And they have a pink color this time for the Pensha as a Pensha exclusive. And I asked them, is there something that you'd like to say to your foreign audiences or foreign fans? And they told me that actually, while they're made in Hamamatsu, the wood is actually from the United States. And so they're kind of making a fusion of US quality wood and Japanese craftsmanship put together, and that kind of design element.
Yeah, and they've done that in the past. Right? Many of their trays are like that. What I found interesting, or what I didn't understand at first, is why the name of this product is For Professional.
Right.
And now you've explained what it is about. That
For
it's
professional shops.
Yeah, it's actually meant for retailers. But what surprised me a little bit was that when I saw the photos on Instagram, they had the glass pens here and not the fountain pen rims, right? And which surprised me a bit, because if you put a glass pen here where the glass nib is up a bit, and it's going to sort of ink's going to might pour down,
Yeah.
right? And I asked the guy about that, and he said, yeah, it's not really made for glass pens.
Yeah, I asked him exactly the same thing. He said that with glass pens, it's easier to leak onto that suede. So
Yeah.
it's really for fountain pens. But yeah, I thought it was a cool design. I'm glad they brought it to the show so that regular people like you and I, maybe we have a lot of pens inked up, and then we
Yeah.
just want to put something down. I think that's a great thing. Next up, could we talk about Kobayashi?
Let's do that.
All right, so Kobayashi came out with a bunch of different things, but I really want to talk about the Strawberry Mini. And what we see actually at the show is that there have been a lot of shops that are coming out with Slim Minis right now. And this Slim Mini in particular is a strawberry theme. And it has that green finial here that you can see to represent kind of the strawberry stem right here. So why do you think there are so many Slim Minis coming out, especially at this show in particular? I think there are them, Nagasawa, Lichtop, all came out with Slim Minis this year.
Yeah, that clearly seems to be the trend. I'm not sure exactly why, but I mean, when I came here earlier today, there were the longest lines were at Lichtop table and Hachimonja's thing. No, sorry, Kobayashi's ones. And
Right.
I think everyone was looking for these. Clearly, these are very popular. And
Yeah.
what's interesting is that you said these are the slim ones and not the fat minis,
Yeah.
which might have something to do with cost, might have something to do with whoever is buying these. Right?
Yeah, I mean these are cheap, right? They're like $320.
Yeah, but now again, we have been conditioned to
Right.
accept these new prices. But yeah, in 2021,
Right. These are the 2021 prices.
yes, they're acceptable this year.
Yeah, and yeah, so Kobayashi came out. Funnily enough, the kind of because these I think are very clearly targeted to a younger, more female audience with the colors that they have. Light pink, light blue, powder blue. For me, it's a specific audience.
Yeah.
But the company that we associate with making these kind of very pastel-y colors, Hachimonja, they didn't come out with a mini. They came out with a Capless. They came out with a Decimo.
Capless Decimo, right? Which is again interesting, and we have talked before about how Pilot only does these collaborations on major anniversaries,
Right.
and this is again a major anniversary. I think it's Hachimonja's 70th? No.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah. So
They've been
it's
around a
one
long
of their major anniversaries, and
Right.
yeah, they've been around a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, they've been around a lot longer than you and I have maybe combined.
Yes. Even though I'm old.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are the general stationery
And those
stores.
so there's two models again. There's it's like whitish and pinkish, but
Yeah.
they are
Yep. And so
and they're very popular. They're very
They're very
popular.
popular.
Long line.
very popular. So those are kind of the general big name stores that we have. Lastly, maybe I want to show Shosaikan, because Shosaikan came out, we discussed about this gathered pro gear that they did for their 20th anniversary. And I thought it was very, very expensive, but having seen the pen in real life, it's actually a very beautiful blue color. And I'm just going to show it on the stream here first. It's actually brighter than we see on their product photos. And then I'm gonna show it on Instagram here. This pen is very, very cool. Like the feeling, the ridges, it is a beautiful pen, and gathered models are just not that common. So I'm really glad that they did this. And of course, this is the first time that they've been showing at the show.
Yeah, yeah.
But even more interesting, we've talked a little bit about Toma pens in the
Yes.
past. Do you want to talk a little bit about their Tomas?
Also, when I went to their table, I saw that they had 2 Toma pens, and I assumed that Toma just had dropped off some pens that they could sell. And I didn't realize until they showed me the cap finial on the pen that these are actually Toma Shosaikan collaborations. These are made to order, so they only have brought 2 of them now, but you can actually order from Shosaikan these custom Toma pens with Shosaikan finials.
And they come in this heavy box. There's a wooden box inside, which I'm going to take out now. And these are actually made by Toyoka Craft, these boxes. I'm going to open it up, and it comes like this. It comes like that. Now, this is really one of the first times that I'm handling a Toma. But, I mean, if you look at that finial, this is beautiful. This is, this must be Eboya's Red Ripple. Ebonite, or maybe it's modeled. I think it's Ripple, but it might be modeled. And they're both eyedroppers, and you can see this is, I think, a triple B. The pen, I mean, it's massive.
Yes.
Right, this nib is massive, and so is the feed. And the feed is really close to the tipping, more than I expected. But everything is handmade on this pen, and this is a Japanese eyedropper. I mean, this might be one of the more beautiful Tomas that I've seen online or in real life.
Well, it's kind of restrained for a Toma.
We can say that. We can say that. I love the finial though. I think this finial, this is Urushi on, I believe, and this pen. I mean, my God, I'm quivering just holding the pen. This is an 18 karat gold Toma and Shosaikan collaboration. And so I asked Shosaikan as well if they wanted to say anything to their overseas fans, and they said that while you can't purchase directly from overseas right now, if you come to Japan, do visit the store, because the store is like a museum. It's absolutely beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful shops in Japan, bar none. And they have a lot of interesting stuff. They have a lot of stuff from the past, some Visconti, some Japanese stuff as well. So definitely, for sure, please do visit the store if you come to Japan.
But so Toma isn't the only pen by a Kubo disciple here,
No.
right?
Yeah.
So we also have Furuta is here. This is Furuta, yeah. I think the name is
Furuta.
Furuta. I think I at least missed. I didn't realize what Furuta was last year. I didn't realize until I saw Alessa's video. But Furuta is, I think he said retired like Jietai general or something like that.
He looks like one.
Yes. And he is working with Kubo. He's actually helping Kubo make the nibs, because there's some like heavy physical work that this 90-year-old Kubo
Right.
can't really quite do anymore. So they are working together on these nibs. But in addition, the Furuta guy, he is making his own. I mean, he's learning from Kubo. He's making his own nibs. He's making his own pens. He's making his own feeds. And he kind of agreed to let us show one of his pens.
And this pen is very cool. This must be entirely handmade from ebonite.
Yes, that's the big thing here. So it is an ebonite pen, with his like hand carved ebonite.
What do you think it looks like? Does it look like vines?
I think it's meant to look like some bamboo tree thing. Yeah. It's. I mean, there are a lot of these like bamboo style pens. I never seen anything nearly as detailed as this. So this is a lot. This is very impressive handicraft.
And the nib on this one is, I think this one is a size 30, and if we can compare just with the Montblanc 146 size nib,
Yeah.
right? Clearly, clearly this is a large nib, all right? Clearly this is a what we would consider a 149 size 8 nib.
Yeah.
However, they had a size 50 nib.
Yeah, they have even bigger ones. They have a few, some of them are Kubo made, some of them are made by Furuta. They also had only one Kubo 3-tine music nib.
I gotta go try that later then.
So yeah, so these are very impressive. He hasn't set up any kind of online store yet. I
Yeah.
asked him about selling overseas, and he said he wants to sell these pens overseas. And I asked him, is there a way to do this right now? And he said there is an email address, and we can put, we can put the email address in the show notes.
But he probably doesn't speak English.
No,
right?
I specifically asked about that, and he said English emails are okay.
Okay.
There's also a website here, so we'll put the details on
Yeah.
the website. But yeah,
I mean, I've seen the website. Doesn't have a lot of information.
right. But you can look again at last year's tips video by Alessa, which has more information about these pens, and they're absolutely beautiful handmade pens.
Right. And I mean, these
Very-
pens. I tried the nib on one of them.
Yeah.
It's very bouncy, very juicy.
Yes.
And I think like just looking at the ebonite feed design as well, this is probably one of the most beautiful like feed designs that I've seen in modern years. And you know, this is just, I think, incredible work that they've done here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is.
Yeah. But he's not the only specialty maker here, I would say.
Right.
I visited just now this Lauret
Right.
company, and we talked a little bit about Laurets last time. We were like, oh, you know, they're coming. I didn't know what was so interesting about this pen. Did you go to their table?
I only had a quick look. I did a little bit. I read up about them a little bit before the show, and one thing I realized is that so all of these pens have this like knurled design,
Yeah.
right? And the Japanese word for knurling is roretto.
Yeah, Lauret. Yeah. So they actually make knobs on like audio systems for like Lexus, for like for huge auto manufacturers, and so they wanted to kind of make a product that is of their own brand.
Yeah.
And so that's why they branched out into stationery. Now, Jacob, what you probably don't know, you see this knurling here. The entire thing is a thread.
That's very impressive.
So when you look at it, there is no threading that you can see because the knurling itself is a thread. And yes, the back end posts as a thread as well. The back end is posted as a thread. So these are very expensive. They're about $600, $700. And I asked them, do you sell overseas? And they said not at this moment, but they would like to in the future. However, they do have PayPal. So you can actually, it's not something that's impossible, but would take some effort. So maybe we might see something like a Drillog type Kickstarter from them in the future.
So this seems to be a common story. You have these small makers. They want to sell overseas, but haven't quite figured out how to do that yet.
Yeah, I think this is like one of the coolest pens that I've seen.
Very smooth.
It's incredible. The knurling. I mean, they're a
Yes.
metal working company. I think this might beat out Drillog for coolness.
The only problem I have with this pen is that it doesn't have knurling. The only place where I want to have knurling.
But they can do it.
They can do it.
Because I saw, because they sell both brush type and fountain pen types,
Yeah.
and I saw that they had some knurling. And this pen is equipped right now with a 14 karat Yovo nib.
Yeah.
So you can actually swap out any kind of nib you want over there. And they're still at the point, I think, where they're really trying to look for like feedback, right? So this is an incredible pen. It has that awesome red little accent over there. If I didn't buy my Mont Blanc, I might have gotten this instead. This is incredible.
So should we talk a bit about HH Works? This is
Yeah.
another one of those very small, like bespoke pen makers, and they make pens out of titanium. Not just a cap and a barrel. They make. So this is the one that is very scary to uncap. I hope I'm doing it right now. Okay.
Yeah. So no, you're uncapping the barrel. So I have to say, this pen, when I tried to uncap it just now,
Yeah.
it was a little less smooth than other.
Okay, I'm a bit afraid to do that.
It was a little less smooth than the Lauritz, but however, this pen is incredible because even though it's a metal pen, the grip is quite good, right?
Yes. And the nib is custom made. They make their own nibs of the
Yep.
titanium. They make their own ebonite feeds as well. So this also seems to be another common story here, that these small, super talented pen makers, they make everything themselves.
And look at that ebonite feed. I mean, man, that is a beautiful ebonite feed right there.
And I asked why titanium, and he said, "Well, we made gold nibs too," and he had some gold nibs, but he said gold is getting just too expensive, so
Yeah.
that's why we're using titanium now.
And on top of that, this is a piston filler. This is a
Yes.
disassemblable piston filler, which is why I was so scared when you were
Yeah.
trying to assemble it. But maybe I'll just assemble it a little bit so everybody can see. Right here, you can actually disassemble it, and you can see here now it's a piston filler right there. You can see the piston head now. Show it to the Instagram folks as well. That's very, very quite cool.
Yeah.
And I've not seen a piston design like this. So they're coming into the market with their own piston design as well, which is, in my opinion, fantastic.
There was one another interesting thing about HH Works on that table. So the guy there had a sort of an assistant. That assistant happened to be Kanesaki-san.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That is interesting indeed. And you can see this is a older style kind of piston filler where there's a blind cap here as well. So I think if this had an ink window, oof, wallets would be broken.
Yeah, that one is very impressive. I forgot to ask if it's possible to buy these overseas.
Yeah, but for sure these are pretty crazy.
Yeah, but we will leave links in the show notes to all of these.
Yeah.
You can find them.
Have anything else?
If you have any other show topics, then let's do that.
I mean, we were talking a little bit about, we talked a little bit about the general stationery stores. We talked about these like specialty shops, these like smaller makers. I want to talk a little bit about paper. In the years past, there were a lot of paper retailers at the show. This year, I think there is a distinctly less number of paper retailers, and I know Kamiteria, they withdrew from the show, right? So Kamiteria withdrew from the show. I don't see Yamamoto here either.
The Yamamoto is here, Kobeha is here, and also I think 4 of them. The Watanabe, and then there's one more that sells a Neue Grey paper.
And I saw that they had a COC 78, I think, which was a bit zara, a little bit kind of textured. I actually like that material, but I think it came in these paper pads that weren't useful for me, but it is interesting to see like that balance shifting, right, in terms of the paper. So, did you have a chance to talk to Yamamoto yet?
Yeah, one thing I asked him was why. What I don't really understand is why is Cosmo Air Light so much more popular than B7 Tranext?
Right. And did you ask him?
Yeah, I did ask him. Basically, he didn't really understand that either because B7 Tranext has a little bit more texture, maybe that is, but B7 Tranext is whiter, right? And usually these fountain pen people, when we try inks, we like white paper to show off the ink characteristics. So not quite sure about that. He has all kinds of paper for sale, of course, in all kinds of sizes. So I think I'll go back in a bit and buy some Techo refills.
Absolutely. All right. So on the product side, I think that's really what we have for you for the show today. I think it'll be interesting. I think you want to have one more topic, right?
I have one more topic.
Okay. Before that, I'd like everybody, if you want to ask any live questions, just put them in the chat, and we'll answer them after our last topic. So put your questions in the chat right now, and then we'll try to go and answer what questions y'all have.
So is it time for my topic?
It is time for your topic.
So I've been keeping secrets from you, CY.
That's very bad. You're a very bad boy.
What I have here is a sample of Sansen Tomoe River.
Bad boy indeed.
It actually called, or the name they want me to use right now is Tomoe River Successor, or Tomoe River Kokehin.
Okay.
That might not be the final name,
It sounds like they're going to have a new name for it then.
so it's still TBD as far as I understand. By the way, I can't say, I'm not allowed to say when and how and where I got this, but I was told that this, for sure, I have explicit permission to show this here today, and I was told that the name right now is Tomoe River Successor. I was also allowed to do some tests. I have been testing this paper with on all kinds of chroma shading inks, difficult inks, pigmented inks, Kakimori inks, with zoom nibs, with coarse nibs, with footer nibs, with architects, and it's good.
Let me see that there, because you're not a Tomoe River fan. Okay, so I'm feeling this right now.
So here's the thing. It handles paper better than new Tomoe River. If you look at
It handles ink better, you mean?
inks better than new Tomoe River. So this Kakimori ink is something that new Tomoe River just cannot handle well. You get bleed through and feathering with new Tomoe River.
See the back?
The Sansen paper, again, Tomoe River's successor, handles this ink without problem. All of these inks and all the chroma shading inks, they look absolutely beautiful on this new paper. It has even less show-through. It has less show-through than old Tomoe River.
It does indeed.
Yes. Now, one thing I would say is, you don't notice it immediately when you touch it.
It feels different.
But when you write with it, it's slightly more textured. And I think if you look at it close up with, say, like a macro lens or a loop, you might see a little bit of jagged edges, which is one of the things that is said that new Tomoe River has as well. But again, that is very subtle. I don't
Right.
think people are going to say, can't use this because,
Right.
with my macro lens, I can see a slightly
Right.
jagged edges, right?
Can I try it?
Go ahead, try it, yes.
All right, so this is live reaction of CY testing Tomoe River Successor. Let's see. So I'm using a stack nib here, cross point. So new Tomoe. All right. So I would say this paper takes ink like a champion. It's less smooth than the older
Exactly, yeah. It's got a little bit
Yeah.
more texture.
one. It's less smooth than the older one. So if you're using like EEF or like Saibitogis or like needle points, you're definitely going to notice it. If you're using like smoother broad nibs, then you're probably not going to notice as much.
But yeah, I tried all of these chroma shading inks and they looked beautiful on this paper.
Yeah, you need to get me some of this paper.
So I'm not sure what I'm allowed to do yet, but I also asked for permission to do a blog post about this. So this weekend, hopefully, I'm going to do more thorough tests. I'm going to take these close-up shots in bright studio light, and I'm going to do a blog
Yeah.
post with.
Maybe we can
All the details.
show off the sound a bit.
It has the crinkliness.
Right. All right. So that sound that we hear now is kicking us out.
Yes.
So we've got to go. But before we do that, let's see if we got any questions. All right, machined. Yes, the previous pens, I think the Laureates and the H-Works, these are machined indeed. And Loritz in particular, I asked them what they wanted to say to their overseas customer, and really they just want to show the potential of Japanese manufacturing. So there's a common thread in like Japanese handiwork and manufacturing there. It is a pen, but also a puzzle. Yes. I'm curious about the jazzy music. Is it like getting ready for Christmas? I think most of the pen show themes have been Christmassy related. Last year it was like a Christmas Carol, so obviously that's a Christmas theme. So this year, I think it's generally like Christmassy theme, but it's not explicitly tied to Christmas. Tomoe River Secret Edition, successor. Sounds like a trilogy. The sound of this paper seems amazing. Crinkles even better. How's the ghosting?
So again, there's less ghosting, there's less show through on this paper than old Tomoe River.
So we have Piece of Leathercraft. She says, Jacob has a particular set of skills. He will find paper and find more paper.
I have too much paper.
All right. And Drillog, did Drillog try to make its second splash at the event? Yes, Drillog is here. I didn't personally go visit their store. They finished their Kickstarter, so I think they have some of the Kickstarter bodies. But yeah, I haven't really looked into Drillog itself. All right. If that's all the questions that we have, I think that's been the show, right?
That's been the show, and we need to start packing up.
Right. So it's been a shorter show this time, but I think it's pretty much on par with what we did last time as well. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Last word for me is really come here. Come to the show next year. I think they're going to announce the dates for next year. Either they've already announced or very soon. But I think more and more this has become a destination for fountain pen and stationery lovers.
It is, and it's very more dangerous for your wallet than it's ever been.
Yeah. All right. With that, my name is CY. You can find me on my website at tokyostationpens.com, on Instagram and TikTok at Tokyo Station Pens, and on Twitter at Tokyo Station MNH.
And my name is Jacob. I'm a Food Fan on Instagram and on Twitter, and have a blog soon with a Tomoe River post, foodfan.com.
All right, and that's been the show. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.